Hey everybody, welcome back to the Court of Random Opinion. My name is Lauren Neidigh. I'm here with my friend Leanne Newton. Tonight we're going to go over a lawsuit in the New York Supreme Court where people are now asking, is this where the subpoena maybe came from? Now, Leanne, you went over this document already?
Yeah, I did.
I just want to
I
make sure
did.
because we'll go over it with you guys. We're not going to leave you hanging, but just to get started, I want to show you how to find this stuff because I've been seeing in the last few weeks or so a lot of stuff coming out, and it's like this is like breaking information, brand new information, and we're all like questioning it. And I'm like, dude, I like went through a lot of this stuff in the state courts, and as far as the company lawsuits and go, I've looked over this stuff. Like back when I originally looked at the publicist lawsuit in the state court, and that must have been a couple of months ago now. So I want to make sure everybody knows how to find this stuff so that we can get like how Leanne did the whole metadata thing, right? So on the off chance that we're able to find something again, you want more eyes on it. More eyes is better. So let me show you guys how to find this. And Leanne, I don't know if are you able to access the court websites and stuff like that?
So I've got Pacer. Yeah,
You
I'm
got
still
Pacer.
learning because I'm not a US lawyer at all.
Yeah.
So I am learning as I'm going along, um, how to access the documents.
Mhm.
Reading the law is a much easier for me.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. So this is the state court of New York. And you can just search on here for free, which is way better than Pacer. So I actually like this one way better. But anyways, this is what you get when you search for this company Vanzin, which is what we're going to pull up. And it'll give you the case number right here. And then it'll show you the filing status, partial participation recorded. And we're going to hit this right here, and it'll take us to the docket. There are only two documents on this. So on September 27th was the summons and complaint. And then on December 19th, we have the notice of discontinuance. And these are not like long documents, so we'll go over it together. I don't know if there's anything in this tab. No, not really, just the attorney and all that. So, but I want to show you guys what I'm going to do also, just because I know it's hard to keep track of all the websites where you would look for this stuff, because some of them are federal, some of them are state. Let me show you guys real quick where I keep all my information. What I'm going to do, not tonight, but tomorrow, because I want to make sure I don't accidentally send you guys anything private of mine. I'm going to post a copy of this Dropbox where I have like all the documents for everything that I've looked at. And there's a shit ton. I have subfolders on here, and I'll put them all together. And then I'll post a link to that so that everybody can access all this stuff. But then also, I might include in that Dropbox like a little note with links to these court websites and instructions on how to use it and stuff like that. Because I do want everyone to know that these are not secrets, and they shouldn't be. Because I've had people ask me, they're like, do you know about this or this or this? It's going on behind the scenes. And I'm like, oh no, you can literally just pull up right here and search that, and you can see whatever you want. So yeah, but Leanne, I don't know if you've ever seen I think you probably have, because I feel like I've seen your post, the New York State documents relating to the publicist Stephanie Jones lawsuit.
Yeah, so I actually went back because I've been doing I've kind of been trying to get to the bottom of the subpoena.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my opinion is even if we find the subpoena, I don't think it's going to make too much difference because
Yeah.
whether there's a subpoena or not, notice wasn't given to any of the parties, to Wayfarer, to Jennifer Abel, to Melissa Nathan.
Mm-hmm.
So it would not be a proper subpoena. But I have a curiosity. So I have actually been back through
Yeah.
Stephanie Jones's original complaint, which was filed in the Supreme Court today, and I think I sent out about 3 or 4 posts on it because I found some interesting stuff. So yeah, I did. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't find it on this site though because it's been transferred to federal. So
Yeah.
I was having a bit of a mare, like sort of saying to people, I cannot find this on Peso, but I didn't realize there was two
Yeah.
separate systems.
Yeah. Yeah. It gets pretty complicated. And then I know people were looking at the Florida stuff not too long ago, which is also like, I think that one might have been in Pacer. I can't remember.
I think if it's all right, if I just quickly say, because like I've looked at that case as well when I was going through all
Yeah.
of the, the cases that people were citing against Baldoni with the Shane Norman and the Travis Flores. I also went through the Marilyn Starkloff case
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well
that's the
against
one.
Aviation Gen.
Right.
That was a legitimate case. She did not file that case just to help Ryan Reynolds.
Hmm. Yeah.
I've seen all the text messages and emails, and there's no subpoenas in that either. So yeah, I think she got dragged a little bit
Yeah, I didn't. That's why
unfairly.
I didn't want to talk about that one. Like, I didn't even mention it on my channel until after the fact of like all that was solved, because I was like, I don't want to send people this lady's way and like drag some person through the
No,
mud who doesn't deserve that. Um,
no, she doesn't.
I felt bad for her. I want to address this really quickly, guys. So Samantha, I need you to calm down a little bit. If we're having a conversation, I do see the comments sometimes, but I need you to calm down. And you're gonna get muted if you don't stop. Um, Petty, that's false. Everyone knows Katie found this. Actually, and I'm telling you right now, that's why I'm showing you this website, how I searched it, where I found it, that I have seen these lawsuits and I've been searching through her company lawsuits. Like if you see here, I've looked through the ones for Give Back Beauty as well. And then these are like cases related to her company that actually, the dates don't add up. And they don't have anything to do with what we're talking about here. But like, it's not like I haven't done my research here. So yes, guys, Katie is probably the reason why somebody tagged me in a tweet about this tonight, no doubt. And then I went to her Instagram and I saw that she had posted that she had found something, and so I'm assuming that this is it. Yes. But the reason we're going over this tonight is because I messaged Leanne. I was like, hey, could this actually have anything to do with what's going on with the subpoena? And we're both kind of like, well, we'll get into it in a second, but let me also show you where it was brought to my attention. If you guys want to go to Without a Crystal Ball and listen to Katie's video, I think you definitely should. I follow her channel. Why not? But guys, stop. Seriously, stop. It's weird that you would come in here and just be like, basically like, you need to give another channel attention, more attention, more attention. It's as if I wasn't going to mention her. It's just, you got to let me talk for a minute, all right, let's see. Where is the tweet? Okay, so somebody nice. Oh, that's Katie Joy's video. So you guys can go see the Katie Joy's video. But all I got was this tweet. It says, Lauren, do you see this? Get a lawyer man on it, and Omar's not available. Here's the court doc. And then they linked to it. I said, yes, I've seen this before. I don't believe this was the basis for the subpoena, but I'm happy to go over it. And then, yes, please, for sure. So I know like people tag me and stuff like this all the time. And I kind of took a break from talking about the subpoena, especially around the Florida stuff, because I was like, dude, calm down. But no, these are public court documents. I will say, like, I want to make sure everybody has access to them, knows how and where to find them. If they're not free, if you have to pay for them, I usually post them. And that's why I'm going to post the Dropbox, because a lot of this stuff is stuff that I've looked over before. I just kind of found that it was, I don't really think that's what it is. I don't think the subpoena came from this, but I'm happy to go over it with you guys. So yeah. One second. Okay. If you're going to be petty, Lauren, I'll just unsubscribe. Oh, no need. I'll ban you. Bye. Okay. Happy to see you leave. Okay. Let's get into the actual documents here, shall we? But guys, no shade to Katie Joy. Seriously, like go watch her video, hear what she has to say about it. I have not had a chance to do that yet. As you guys know, if you follow me on Twitter, I had a lot of anxiety today around the FSU shooting. That is my alma mater. A lot of my friends are still there. My cousin, who has been my best friend since like as long as I can remember, works there. So I've had a lot going on today. I have not been able to keep up with everybody's, freaking Instagram and whatever. Of course, when that person tagged me in the tweet, and I saw on Instagram scrolling through, I think, Leanne, I think you also saw the Instagram post, but we didn't know exactly what that was about yet, because I don't think it was mentioned which lawsuit it was. But it's just annoying to me that people are like trying to start a war right now. I'm like, dude, what? Since when do I have a problem with Katie Joy? Like I've never said anything bad about Katie Joy. In fact, I've said, hey, I just saw this on Without a Crystal Ball. Like, why don't we chill the fuck out, guys. Okay.
And I think I had, a couple of dozen tags in various posts asking me as well, like, is this real or can you look into it?
Yeah.
So, we're here because we've been asked to kind of look into these things.
Yeah. I mean, you try to do something nice, man, because I said I was backing off the subpoena thing because people have such a visceral reaction when you don't agree with their opinions. So I'm trying to do something nice here. And then people are like, you're stealing from. I'm like, oh, dude, chill out. You haven't even given me like 10 minutes to mention that person yet. Like, chill the fuck out. It's weird.
I think we can agree we're here because, without a crystal ball, put out a video. There's no doubt about that.
Right. And that's why, somebody tagged me on Twitter. So inadvertently, that is how that happened. But just to be clear, we can acknowledge that without, being disrespectful and spamming comments every 2 minutes. Like, hey, you need to do this, or you need to talk about this, or this is this person's, you're not that special. You know what I mean? Like, just chill out. Just chill out, guys. Okay. Let's see. So we'll look at the summons and complaint first. Let me move all these tabs I have open from the Give Back Beauty and all that, because I was really trying to pull everything up here to show people where they can find stuff. Okay. All right. So it's Vanzen Inc., which is, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right, Leanne. I don't know if it's Vanzen. Maybe it's something more fancy than that.
It looks like Vanzen, doesn't it?
Yeah. Let me zoom in. Can you see that okay?
I'm glad you did that. Yeah, because otherwise I'd have to be reading that.
Yeah, sometimes I forget, man. All right. Let's see. To the above named defendants, which we can see here are does 1 through 10. And that is kind of like, I'm sure people will look at that and be like, that's shady or whatever. We also saw in the Stephanie Jones lawsuit, like she's named some John Does who are behind that website, StephanieJonesLies.com, which has since been deleted, unfortunately. I guess she keeps getting these things taken down. I don't know if she maintained the John Does in her lawsuit when it moved over to the federal courts. Do you remember that?
Off the top of my head, no, but I mean, I can look in. I don't think they're in there. I don't think they are.
Okay, yeah, because I saw in the New York, and those will be in the Dropbox that I post tomorrow, guys. I saw in the state lawsuit papers that she had named John Does that made the website, and I was like, okay, well, I don't know, is this like a regular thing? Because this is obviously the first time I've seen anything like that, except for one other time, and that's why I'll mention before we kind of go through this document. I have a friend who we were following another case, the Eckerd versus Owens case, the false pregnancy claims against The Bachelor, which I'm sure you guys have heard me talk about. Be better. Hey, I'll send it to you, man. I'll send it to you right after this, okay? Or you can go to this website. Let me just post it in the, look at me getting distracted. Let me just post it right here in the chat for Mr. Be Better, who joined us on the stream before. We need to have him back soon. There it is. Let me know if that works for you. Okay. So, I had a friend who posted on Reddit, and she's anonymous on Reddit. Obviously, you don't like go around. Most people don't use their actual name and picture and stuff like that on Reddit. And this lawyer for the lady who likes to fake pregnancies is a colossal asshole. And he tried to send a subpoena to Reddit to get her identity. A judge did sign off on it. She was never notified in any way until, after the subpoena had been served on Reddit. So he was able to do that without an active case open because he hasn't sued her or anything like that. There's no open case. And this is in Arizona, by the way. But I think it was a federal thing. And so he was able to get a subpoena. A judge signed off on it. There was no open case just to basically get her identity. So if you see a lawsuit like this with, Does 1 through 10 or whatever, they can use that to try to get the identity of somebody. And of course, Reddit then notified my friend who, has not had any problems so far because it hasn't gone any farther than that because Reddit wrote back and was basically like, hey, fuck you. Like, we don't do that. We're not going to give you this person's information. But, they said it in like more intelligent words. I don't know if you've ever come across anything like that, Leanne, or heard of anything like that before? That was the first time I had ever seen
Yeah, it's
anything
common.
like that. Is it?
It's common
Okay.
practice.
Yeah.
Yeah, where you because I just checked, but I mean Stephanie Jones definitely used it in her complaint that started in the Supreme Court.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it is quite common where you're not
Yeah.
sure. You suspect there are other people involved, and you don't yet know their identities. You may learn that during discovery.
Mm-hmm. Omar is available. If you want to join us, Omar, let me know if you want to hop in for a minute. He's asking, do we know if the subpoena was based on the New York lawsuit? I think we were going to ask you that, dude. Maybe. I don't know. But no, we don't know. It's just weird. Above named defendants, you're hereby summoned to answer the complaint in this action and to serve a copy of your answer, or if the complaint is not served, with the summons to serve a notice of appearance on the plaintiff's attorney within 20 days after service of this summons. Now, I don't see anywhere where they were actually served with this before the notice of discontinuance. Is that possible that they were just never served with this?
Yeah, it is possible.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
'Cause that's what happened with in Blake Lively's when she got that petition 202 for the pre-litigation deposition in Texas for Jed Wallace, the one that causes cardiac problems. She never actually got to serve it on him, so it's very possible.
Yeah.
I mean, there should be some kind of evidence of service.
Well, we can see. Let's look at the docket for the other case where we know it was served, and I'll see if there's any indication of that on there, and then we can compare it to this one and see if there's a difference. Omar says, I mean, I haven't seen the subpoena. No one's seen the subpoena except for the Daily fucking Mail, okay? And that's not a reliable source of information. Not just the Daily Mail, but I think she sent it to like a couple of news outlets, which is just a little weird. If you have it and you're like that concerned about getting it out there, you literally could just fucking post it. That's not against the law.
Should we clarify though, because this has been sort of put out there as this is the subpoena, or it may. I'm not suggesting without a crystal ball her saying that. I think people may be misinterpreting it. This is not a subpoena. This is a summons.
I don't know if she straight up said it was the subpoena or not. She might have. She probably didn't say it like that. I think she said probably what you're saying. But then again, I'm just guessing because I haven't gotten to see it yet.
I haven't watched the video, but I think I don't want to say she definitely said that because I don't know, but
right.
I think her view was this could be the lawsuit that gave rise to getting a subpoena.
Yeah, and guys, don't worry.
This is not.
I will watch her video. Like, I watch her videos. I'm not saying like I'm not going to watch her video, because I am. Please don't interpret it that way. Now I'm afraid people are going to start a flame war, and that stresses me out.
I'm going to watch the video, definitely.
Yeah, it's not like we're boycotting. No, we're not doing that. I promise.
No. Well, we were asked to kind of look into this, so we weren't. I personally, I like to go and look at the filing. I'll listen to someone's interpretation of it later, and I quite often do that when filings drop. I don't come and watch your videos, Lauren, or I don't watch Omar's videos, or the two lawyers, Albertson and Davidson. I don't watch anyone else's videos until after I have read it, looked up everything, put my own thread together, and then I'll go and watch other people's.
Yeah. Dude, I think... Oh, Anita. Hey, what's going on? How's it going, Anita? Omar's going live tonight. Okay, let me know when you're doing that. Okay, let's... So before we skim through this, we're going to look and see the other docket, and we'll compare them. But yeah, this is where people are thinking the subpoena came from, and then we'll talk about a little bit more about why we think maybe that's not a thing and why we can't say for sure that it is. But hang on. So this is really easy. Let me just walk everybody through it from start to finish. New York State Court case search. Okay. So you just click here. That was like the first thing that came up. You can go to name, and I'm going to put in, well, maybe I'll just put in Jonesworks. Okay. We have Stephanie Jones versus Jennifer Abel, and compared to the docket we looked at in the beginning, here's what this one looks like. So you can see a bunch of stuff here.
That is so much more accessible than Pacer. Do you know how long it takes to get past all of the list of the attorneys?
Oh yeah, dude. No, seriously. Oh, and that's what I was gonna show as well, is like the Pacer docket, and this is also relating to the subpoenas. So I had all this stuff up to show you guys, and then I got flustered, so I closed out some stuff by accident. Hang on. So here's the Pacer docket, which is like, look at all this crap. Like, oh my god,
It's like,
I just aged 4 years. Like, what the fuck? Okay. Oh my god, there's a bug up here. Anyways, another thing I wanted to show while we're going over these dockets is you won't really see subpoenas on these dockets. So like you'll see these letters where they were arguing about subpoenas about the phone records a while back, and that's why I wanted to point this out. Let's see, there would be letter. Yeah, so this is when they were fighting over discovery and that kind of stuff. Discovery dispute concerning subpoenas. So you see these letters and where they were arguing about it. And that was before the February. No, it was a little bit after that conference. Never mind. But you'll see that. Hold on. Yeah, letter motion for discovery concerning subpoenas. Everything is listed on here that we can publicly see. It's on this docket. But the public can't see the actual subpoenas here unless they're attached as an exhibit to another filing. They don't just list the subpoenas here, and they don't just list the discovery requests here. That's where we're seeing letters about it, but you don't actually see that stuff. So it's like if there was a subpoena attached to one of these lawsuits, the subpoena that everybody's looking for, you're probably not going to see it as a member of the public. You're probably not just going to straight up see it. So this is more of a like, is this lawsuit possibly where it came from? And the answer is like, we're not 100% sure, obviously. The answer is always going to be that, I'm afraid, until it comes out in court. But what's the difference between a summons and a subpoena? Leanne, you want to take that one?
yeah, so a subpoena is like it's like a court order basically to compel someone to attend court to give evidence or to produce documents. A summons is basically it's the complaint. A complaint is served on the party, and then they have to respond to it. So this is the complaint. This is not. This is. There's nothing about this that that's asking for documents. One thing I did, just a thought as well, because I saw this. I mean, I'm not. Omar will probably know better, but like when the Depp Heard case ended and everything was unsealed, at that point, at the end of the trial, all the subpoenas were there. So normally, I'm just thinking because this is obviously a closed case.
I had myself muted. Sorry. Yeah,
This is a closed case. Like if there was a subpoena, I don't know if there would be a reason why there wouldn't be a summons attached to it if there was one that was issued for this case.
Right. So this is like, sorry, I'm getting confused by some of these questions too. I'm like, let me stop and think for a second. So, okay. Did Blue said, did I read this question out loud or was I muted when I read this question? I don't know. What about searching the database for the lawsuit and see if there's a subpoena on file under the case number? So that's what we just did. We searched. Those are like everything on file in these lawsuits is what I just showed you. So with this case in particular, it's just those two documents. And with the Jones case with Abel, the only thing, the state case, the only things you can see, unless it's included as an exhibit in another lawsuit, is these documents. And this is not the one that we're looking at right now. This is the previous one because I wanted to see if it would show you if the summons was served or not. No, it just shows you if it was processed. Let's see. Email notifications not sent. Okay, so this means they had to be served in person. So I don't know. This might be kind of a dead end as far as trying to figure out if it was actually served or not. But everything I showed you guys, that is everything that's on file. So like if you don't see a subpoena there, you're not going to be able to see it publicly at this point in time. Maybe later, yes. Like Leanne was just saying, after Depp v. Heard, everything was released or unsealed. Yes, but you're not gonna be able to see it right now. Hopefully that made sense. I kind of tend to take the long track with my points sometimes, dude. Sorry. Let's see.
And that, you can bet that that subpoena is going to be at the top of Brian Friedman's list of, discovery requests. I want this.
What's that? You said?
Oh,
Go ahead.
I said, honestly, I'm happy to place a bet that the copy of this subpoena is at the top of the discovery request from Jones Works.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. Sorry. Vanzen was inactive, forfeited with the SEC of state system for 10 years. It appears to have been reinstated in September 2023 during the halt. Oh my. Okay. During the halt in production. I'm wondering if Katie Joy has that in her video. Maybe. Is that where that came from, Amanda? Because that kind of stuff, I do not know. I do not look into that stuff. I don't have the desire or the time, to be honest. So I usually look to other people's content for that. And the 17-point list happened in November 2023. Okay. Yeah. So that's sketchy as fuck.
Is it though? I mean, it's still a year.
I don't know. So if they were trying to put all this together, or like basically set this up so that they could get what they wanted, if it didn't go their way, I think that's a little sketchy. Reinstating during the halt in production, which is when they kind of had a shift in tone, and then they come back demanding shit. And then this company that was forfeited for 10 years is now being used. If that's where the subpoena came from, if this is where the subpoena came from, then I feel like that's a little sketchy. But that's just me, and that's my brain running a little wild right now. So, subpoenas, if they exist, should be on Pacer. They're not though. Maybe if they're unsealed after trial, they would be there. But the subpoenas, like the phone record subpoenas and stuff like that, they're not on Pacer. Just the letters relating to that dispute where they were going back and forth. So, let's see. So is Leanne sending this to Freedom? No, I mean, I'm certain the lawyers in this case like know about all this shit already, and if they don't, they would through the discovery process. So yeah. Let's see.
I mean, I can send it though. Just in case.
You could. I tend to like not do that just because I'm like, I don't want to bother these people with stuff they probably already have. Like, watch one day somebody finally email me back and be like, "Hey, shut up." You know what I mean? Like, that's not gonna happen.
It helps. I didn't get an email back when I sent in the metadata.
I've sent one email and it was unrelated to this kind of stuff, but your thing was actually like insightful. I would just be sending like a link to a public filing that they've probably already seen. Like, hey, have you seen this link? They'll probably think I'm like some kind of spam service. Oh yeah.
I did send a link to Colonel Kurtz's video as well with the lost tape of Ari Emanuel.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. So I feel like so much has happened since then, man. All right, let's look through this. We're gonna skim. We're not gonna do too much reading word for word or anything. Here's why it's weird. So like everything is kind of alluding to the same things, right? As like the actual lawsuit. This action arises out of an ongoing campaign to damage plaintiff's business and plaintiff's reputation. Upon information and belief, the Doe defendants have certain contractual and confidentiality obligations and obligations of good faith and loyalty to plaintiff regarding plaintiff's business and reputation by way of oral promises and or written agreements. Man, somebody from Wayfair should send that to Stephanie Jones. God. Despite these obligations, the Doe defendants have undertaken direct efforts to contravene these agreements and instead have participated and may continue to participate in efforts to harm plaintiff, including by failing to act in plaintiff's best interests, taking actions to their personal benefit at plaintiff's expense, failing to freely communicate with plaintiff regarding matters that impact plaintiff's business and reputation, and disclosing to third parties and failing to keep strictly confidential plaintiff's confidential and or private information. Okay. This conduct constitutes breach of the agreements and obligations owed by the Doe defendants to plaintiff and has caused significant reputational and economic damages to plaintiff. This complaint seeks to recover compensatory and economic and non-economic damages as well as other appropriate remedies against the Doe defendants. And then here we have the parties listed, and it just says, upon information and belief, each of the DOE defendants are individuals and or companies that are domiciled, reside, have their principal places of business and or are incorporated or organized in New York. Isn't Wayfair in California?
Yeah, and as individuals, they're all Californians as well.
Yeah, so that wouldn't make sense, would it?
Yeah.
That and let's see. There's something else that bothered me, but I'm sure it'll come up when we're going through this. Hang on.
There is one comment, because I watched a very small snippet, like the very start, trying to get the information from Katie's video. I think one of her Instagram posts or a reply to on her Instagram post about this said this proves that it was nothing to do with sexual harassment.
Mhm.
I think if this is related, the fact that it doesn't mention it here, I wouldn't go as far as to say it proves. Does that make sense? Just because obviously she was responding to, assuming this is all true, she would be responding to the text messages and therefore be kind of looking at the retaliation.
Mm-hmm. Hold on, sorry, 1 second. I got lost there for a sec. Okay. At this time, plaintiff's not privy to the names or identities, and therefore sues these defendants by such fictitious names. Upon information and belief, the DOE defendants are employees, contractors, agents, or representatives of plaintiff who have participated in and possibly conspired with others in a scheme to damage plaintiff's business and reputation in breach of their oral and or written promises to plaintiff and their duties of good faith and loyalty to plaintiff. Pursuant to CPLR section 1024, upon discovery of the actual name and identities, plaintiff will substitute such information in the caption and in an amended pleading. So yeah, if they already know the identity of the people they're going to sue, this wouldn't track at all, because they definitely know the identities. So that would be either playing some weird game or, just a straight up lie. I don't know. So that's kind of weird. Skim through here. Breach of contracts. Breach of covenant of good faith, fair dealings. I don't know. Did you see anything else in here that you think is pertinent to read right now?
I don't think so. I mean, it's obviously it is the same law firm as well, Manat.
Yeah.
It's persuasive to a point. There are bits that don't match up as well, but discovery would need to be done really to definitively say, oh, this is definitely the case. This is definitely what happened. I, as a legal professional myself, I would find I'm having such a hard time that a law firm, especially like Manat, would get on board with doing something like this.
Right.
The consequences will be quite serious for them.
Let's hang on. Let's look at this, because somebody on Reddit mentioned that attorney as well. They're like, man, it must suck to be Samantha Katz right now. I think that's how you say the name, right? Yeah. Here it is. Okay. All right. So we have. You can't see that, can you? Let me zoom in.
I can't now.
Wait, that didn't help. That made it worse. What's happening? Stop. I'm sorry. Can you see that now? I mean, let me see if I click on it. Oh, there we go. Oh, yeah. And see, there's Katie's little symbol right there without a crystal ball. So without any question, this came from Katie without a crystal ball. I hope that satisfies everyone in the comments, because apparently I haven't mentioned it enough. All right. Let's see. So just what we're working at here, but then here's the Vans and Incorporated. So this is where she found, and if I had watched her video admittedly before, I would have known this, but I did not. This is where she looked up Vans and Incorporated. Inactive director/officers, Blake Reynolds. Hang on. Whoa. Calm down, Reddit. Jesus. I don't know why I did that on my screen, but I think somebody else had another in the comments down here, because I was just skimming over this like as we were talking. Vans and Inc. is registered at the address that just so happens to be linked to Ryan Reynolds. And then there's Blake Eleanor Lively. Did she change her legal name to Blake Reynolds or something? I thought her legal name was still Blake Brown. I'm confused.
Yeah, so she's and I think she's changed it legally from it was Blake Brown. She changed it to Blake Lively.
Yeah.
By marriage, she can use Blake Reynolds too. And I've because I went through a lot of businesses, like looked up a lot of her businesses and entities, looking for various lawsuits.
We've
And
all
she
been
uses
very
Blake Reynolds.
creepy.
She uses Blake Reynolds a lot
Okay.
for the businesses. I mean,
Gotcha. Yeah, no, we've all been very, very creepy. Like looking through all this stuff, but like in a non-threatening way, a non-threatening creepy. But we're all like digging up like which businesses are you associated with and shit like that. Like that's pretty crazy. And then of course, you get people sending us all messages like, "Hey, you need to look at this. You need to look at this," because I wouldn't even have known about this company if somebody hadn't messaged me like, "Hey, look into this, please." You know what I mean? The same way I wouldn't have known that one of Blake's companies was named whatever it was that we just looked at. I would have to look it back up again. But the one I showed you guys earlier in the stream, I was like, what? I've never even heard of that company before. So, yeah. But we're investigating. Yeah, we're investigating. I call it curious. Yeah, curious is a nicer way of putting it. I own my creepiness. Bren W says hi, Lauren. Thank you, Bren. It was actually Blake's mom's ex-husband's names. What?
Yeah.
Okay. My brain cannot retain a lot of
the mum's name.
What's that?
Her dad took the mum's name.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I forgot about that. Well, Blake Reynolds. I've not usually seen Blake Reynolds on anything. So as far as the company stuff, guys, if you want to see a deeper dive into that, I'll show you where you can go. Right here, because I am not digging into that. I don't even know where to find it. I don't know where to find that. I was like, okay. Somebody will just like give me a name, or I'll see the name of a company listed on the document somewhere, and I'll look it up. But as far as like getting into the background of the companies and stuff like that, I'm just kind of like, you know what? I'm at a loss. We're good. So, but this is where she posted about this. I don't want to play it because I don't want to take views from her. But you guys can go here to find it. Let me give you a link right here. That is not where I want to put that. Here it is. Okay. Patty says, and I missed the Ask Two Lawyers today as well, unfortunately, because today really was just like a shit day for me, which is probably why I'm so stressed out right now. I'm sure everyone can tell that I'm a little on edge, but I'm just, I'm trying to chill out a little bit. Penny says, Ask Two Lawyers had on a judge today, an employment lawyer yesterday, and both said this type of subpoena will definitely get people in trouble. I know they had the employment lawyer on yesterday. I did see some of that, but I didn't get to see the judge. Did you watch it, Leanne?
Yeah. So they had Ron Zambrano, I think it was. I'm pretty sure I got his name right.
He's been on Popcorn Planet, right?
Yeah, I watched him on there as well. So I was in, and I was watching the Two Lawyers as well. I entirely agree that this is something that the law firm could essentially be taken off the case. The lawyers themselves and anyone who got involved in anything, which because it's fraud, it would technically be fraud. They could be disbarred. So there are very, very serious consequences for this. This is why I'm sitting here struggling with the concept that a lawyer may actually have done something fraudulent. It's really unpalatable.
Yeah, this is so crazy, man. Like all this stuff is just like it's been on the back burner. I felt like the state court stuff has been on the back burner for so long that I just kind of forgot it existed. And now if this is where it came from, wow.
And when you put into context as well, like the entire the big stink that she kicked up over attorney's eyes only, you know, protecting Taylor Swift's text messages.
Hmm.
And, like if she's then gone and had this secret fishing expedition, that's wild.
Yeah. Daily Mail reported the subpoena didn't have a court stamp, and neither Abel, Baldoni, or Nathan were notified about the subpoena.
And that's the problem.
So that's where I get a little confused as well, though, because I'm like, I remember going back to that thing with my friend where the subpoena was served. Like, she wasn't notified about that by anybody except for Reddit. I guess so. I guess they would have been the ones to notify her, right? Because that's
Well,
just
when I
What's that?
sorry, Lauren, go on.
Are you screaming at someone? What's happening right now?
Oh, I was about to talk, but
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
no, it's just because I did threads on this and at the time we weren't sure where the subpoena which state it may have been issued in. So I looked at both New York and California.
Okay, yeah.
And the notes for the committee notes for Rule 45, which is the California law, actually state that this actually happens quite a lot. So that they amended the rule to put quite a strict requirement for notice. New York's got an almost identical kind of a thing as well. So it's not like, well, if it was California, then they definitely have to do this, but because it's New York, then that doesn't apply. New York is the same thing. Notice has to be given. If notice is not given to the parties, and not just notice, a copy of the subpoena, then it has not been deemed to have been processed.
Gotcha. Okay.
Does that make sense? Because this is all about due process, and the parties have a right of right of objection um, to move to have the subpoena quashed. And we saw all that at the start of the Lively Wayfarer lawsuit as well, where they were sort of wrangling over, Blake Lively's overly broad subpoenas that were going back 3 years ago, etc., etc. And the judge ended up quashing it. That's what should have happened. If had they been given notice, then that would have been what they would have been. They would have had the right to go down that process. But by not giving them the notice or the copy, then she's effectively denied that right.
Whoops.
And that's why, to me, and I think most of the the two lawyers and Ron Zambrano, it's a big deal if they've kind of knocked up a fake subpoena, or if they've put a case together, falsely, fraudulently to obtain a subpoena.
Right.
But that's a big problem in itself. But this doesn't change anything, though, in the sense that even if there is a subpoena, and even if it had been obtained by legitimate means, notice still wasn't provided. The copy was not provided. Therefore, it was not, properly filed and served. Does that make some sense?
Yeah, it's just I'm having a hard time, and you kind of said this before. I'm having a hard time reconciling, like, why would a law office, like an esteemed law office, even go with that?
It's not even worth their license. I don't get it.
No way. Yeah, it's very strange to me. That's why I'm kind of hesitant to say, like, yes, this is totally it. I went over this and I was like, this seems like nothing, because it then just kind of went away, and then also because obviously they know who they're suing, so this would have been a straight up fraud thing. So I'm like, who would have signed off on this is my thing. So I'm like, there's no way this is it, right? So I just like left, and like I never thought about it again. I just assumed that nobody was ever served and they were like letting it go. They decided to take another route. But I guess I wasn't thinking that maybe it was something a little more sinister than that. But then at the same time, it's like, who would be so fucking stupid as to participate in this? Like, I just can't. That's so
It
odd.
makes me wonder though, because there are pointers to this that do make me think, like the dates and
Right.
the actual the background history and the causes of action. They do kind of, you can make them fit into something very similar as to what's going on. The time frame is reasonably suspicious for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I also wonder then if in Stephanie Jones's complaint, which she brought to the same court, the Supreme Court, makes me wonder then, are those the same does 1 to 10?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like there are things there. I can't. I'm reluctant to commit to say, oh yeah, this is definitely it, because
I mean,
there's no
unpopular.
evidence.
Maybe this is an unpopular opinion because I can understand why people think this is it. Obviously, like the kinds of stuff you were just saying. But like, unpopular opinion probably is that like I also don't think that's where this came from. And for me, it was just the sheer stupidity of like somebody who would sign their name to this, knowing this is clearly illegal, like because they know who they're suing. So to go through a lawsuit like this, using the company as on like a back channel, the company that apparently I did not know was like not whatever it was for 10 years, not defunct. I don't know what the word is, but I just don't think anyone at a good legal firm would be so incredibly stupid and just like brazenly commit that kind of fraud or help commit that kind of fraud in like an open, something where anybody could discover this at any time. It's just like, it doesn't make sense to me. And I'm just like, my brain is not allowing me to accept that as an explanation because I'm just like, surely you are not this stupid.
But they also knew that if this kind of carried on, if this went beyond a point, because what were they going to do with the text? Well, they were clearly going to do something. I think the stupid point was putting it in the New York Times. You're kind of committed. It's already out in the public.
Right.
But they were also fully aware you had the caliber of Brian Friedman. They knew that Brian Friedman was being retained back in I think it was August last year.
Oh yeah, which complaint was it they wrote that in, or like something they knew Jed
That
Wallace
was in
had talked to them about?
It was in Wayfarer's first amended. So the
Okay.
text message where I think Melissa Nathan or Jen Abel, one of them two, actually suggested, she's taking the film. We need to get Brian Friedman. So if they, I think might have been Jen Abel. So they should have had those text messages in amongst this disclosure.
Right.
Which I think even if, like we know that Leslie Sloan saw, she was made aware, certainly, if not, she visually saw these messages the same day that Jen Abel's phone was taken off her. So, and that predates the subpoena anyway.
Yeah. Man, Jesus.
It's messy. Whatever's going on here is messy.
Yeah. What do you think about this? Well, so I still don't think like that they even got the text messages initially by a valid subpoena. Like I think that Stephanie Jones gave them to, and I mean, I think you put this in a tweet somewhere too, that she had admitted that what's her fuck? Sorry, Leslie Sloan, I think, had seen the text messages or something like that the
Leslie
same day.
Sloan, yeah.
Yeah.
She called, so Leslie Sloan called Melissa Nathan the same day, literally hours after Jen Abel's phone was taken off her. And when Jen Abel went to work that day, they were kind of, it must have been really planned because they had waiting there the chief of staff who'd flown in to Los Angeles from New York. You had an attorney and you had a forensic digital kind of IT expert. They were already there waiting for her. So I think I put something out earlier. It just felt overly planned. I mean, who brings a forensic
Well,
IT
this
expert into, you know, an employee's dismissal meeting?
somebody weird as fuck. Somebody who would, tell them something about their fertility based on a psychic probably would do that. Um, but it's god. With the forensic stuff, it's like they were keeping the devices. I don't know. So with her laptop, people bring up her laptop sometimes. I don't remember. Did she keep the laptop or did they keep the laptop?
I thought they kept the laptop, but they scanned it, like they run that through their forensic whatever they did.
That's
They
why I
run
thought
it
that was
through
so strange.
twice. I mean, you know, they took the phone off. She sat through that because she was able to say, "Oh, there was nothing on there," but she couldn't say anything about the phone, because I think when I read her complaint, her counter complaint today, it actually said, you know, she handed over the phone and she was then immediately ushered out of the building,
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah.
she didn't get to see what was picked up on the phone.
Yeah.
Um, but I believe that there was some kind of collusion going on before that day with Leslie Sloan.
Mm-hmm.
That's my best bet.
With
But yeah,
the
I think definitely Stephanie Jones was more than ready to just hand them over.
God. The only
Because she
reason I
had
could think oh god.
no, I was just going to say, because the other thing I didn't that I noticed, because I had to go back through Stephanie Jones's original first complaint to like, I didn't really take much notice of it before, and I hadn't done threads on it because I wasn't doing threads at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, we also realised then why Stephanie Jones hates Melissa Nathan so much is actually because she offered her a job and got declined.
Yeah. Whoops. The psychic didn't tell her that ahead of time. What's gonna happen?
No.
I mean, come on, man. All right. So this thing with Stephanie Jones and the forensic expert being there when Jen was getting fired. The only reason I could see for aside from just paranoia and just being batshit insane, the only reason I can think of is Cellbrite, which you can use to extract the data off of devices, even if it's been deleted, messages, even if they've been deleted and stuff like that, the forensic technology that they use. Cellbrite, you can use Cellbrite without a subpoena if it's related to company business. So like if it's a company device and you're getting stuff off of it for stuff related to company business, you don't have to have a subpoena for that.
No.
But if they were to wait and then tell them, we want this information, we want to extract this information after they had already fired her, would that have made a difference? Would they then say you need a subpoena? I don't know. Do you know?
I don't know. Because I also admit as well that, you know, yes, it was a company device, but it was, you know, she ported her personal number and therefore all her personal
Mm-hmm.
data.
Wait.
I'm not quite certain of whether the law is going to kind of sit on that. It's difficult. Um, you know, you got Stephanie Jones saying, "Well, I didn't ask her to," but then you got Jennifer Abel saying, "Well, actually, she asked me to." So,
Mm-hmm.
um, it's really hard.
Yeah.
But I would say that Stephanie Jones was aware that Jennifer Abel's personal stuff was on there.
Yeah.
So
Um,
I we over here, like in the UK, there would be a duty of care.
mhm. So somebody says this is not company business. No, that exactly. That's a lie. Like it would be a lie, but she would have, then had easier access to it without having to go through the court. But that's what I think. I think that she lied and said it was about company
Yes.
business to get it.
Oh, yeah.
And then she didn't need a subpoena, and then she could pass it along to whoever she wanted. And then they did with that what they would. And then later, the reason I don't think that this is the lawsuit connected to the subpoena as well is also because I don't think that they needed to do this. They already had all the information at their fingertips, but then they needed to cover their ass by going through a legal channel to get a subpoena. They could then serve Stephanie Jones and say, this is how we got this information, even though they had it the whole time. And then that they would have to go above board for that so they could point to it and then actually use it to cover their ass, not like this, which is obviously sketchy and sketchy at best, illegal at worst. So I just don't think. Bridget, stop
If there was a-
shouting! Stop shouting at me, Bridget. Okay, sorry. It's in New York,
but
Bridget.
if there was a subpoena based on this case, though, then that would be, the named party on there would be this Van Zan.
I don't know how to pronounce. What was that? Go ahead.
Because
Say it
like
again.
that should raise questions then. Even if Stephanie Jones was in collusion and kind of overlooked that, I would have thought the New York Times would have been like, well, who's this? Or the Daily Mail when they got hold of the subpoena, now they've given a date and they've given the court and said, oh, there's no stamp, but they've not named this business.
Here's what I know about the Daily Mail. They don't give a fuck if something is accurate or
No.
not. They really don't. Because I've talked to some of the same anonymous sources that they have, and they literally make shit up. Like, they'll make shit up, post it, and then when the person who, agreed to be an anonymous source will be like, hey, why did you do that? Or why did you say that? That's not what I said. They'll say, well, it's fine because we didn't use your name.
Mm.
So I don't trust
Yeah, I've
anything
seen
the
that.
Daily Mail says or does anymore. I made that mistake, unfortunately, a couple times, and I no longer cite them as a source because I'm like, now that I know how you deal with people and their actual, lives and stories behind the scenes, I want nothing to do with you. So I don't know about all that with the Daily Mail. And the New York Times is a piece of crap, so I don't know about that either. But I don't think either one of them is particularly moral or accurate. So I'm not gonna, not
No,
gonna
I
put
agree with you
stock into
there.
that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to see. I know there were questions in chat here. Give me a second. Just Ricardo, thank you for the 2. We'll watch later. Love you, Lauren, and my peoples. Love you too. Thank you for stopping by. It's Kim. Thank you for the $2 super sticker, and thank you, Kim, for being here.
Hi, Kim.
Kim is awesome. We love Kim.
She's amazing.
Sarah Dawn, thank you for the 5 hugs. Oh, hug you back. Thank you. Christina Erickson, thank you for the $3 super sticker. You guys are awesome. Okay. Oh, she's still here. Hi, Kim.
Oh.
All right. Let's see. Let me show you guys the docket again. So these are the only 2 documents related to this case. That's it. That was that summons we just skimmed over. And again, I'll post this link for you guys in the not the description, but in the comments of this video when we're done here, so you can click and look at it. The notice of discontinuance. Let's check that out real quick. It's very short. It says, please take notice. Plaintiff, by its undersigned attorneys, hereby discontinues this action, inclusive, without prejudice, and without costs. This notice may be filed with the clerk of the court without further notice. So,
without prejudice. That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, again, this is just very strange to me. Well, it looks like nobody ever did anything. There was no response to this lawsuit. I don't know if anyone was even served with this lawsuit. Print document list. Let's do that. Here it is. Just those 2 documents. Just those 2 documents. So, 1 second.
I mean, it could be something. I'm not discounting it, not completely. And there are, like I say, there are pointers where I sit and think, well, okay, that could fit.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see any evidence. There's certainly no subpoena there.
Mm-mm.
So that's still, AWOL. But I think, I think the legal team for Wayfarer, they will ask these questions and they will get to the bottom of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure they will. I mean, my brain basically broke the other day when I was like going through this and having some of the same thoughts, and I was just like, oh my god, I'm so done, because people were getting so pissed at me because I was like, I didn't agree with a lot of what was being said, and this is like mostly around the Florida stuff too, and like people are just like fucking straight up rude sometimes, man, especially if you're like between like Reddit, Twitter, my email, which I use to get when I have viewers participate in stuff. I'll put that out there. It's on like on my public everything. Between my Facebook messages, people sometimes send me Facebook messages, and between YouTube comments, dude, there's just so much stuff, and so sometimes I get overwhelmed when a lot of people kind of try to make the same point at me, because I'm like, the first time I'm like, oh, okay, I understand, but then when 7 or 8 other people in the same hour on various social media platforms will send me the same reasons why they think my thoughts are shit, I'm just kind of like, stop, please. And so I get really fed up. So I was like, I'm not talking about the subpoena thing anymore. And then today was so bad, just like otherwise, I was just kind of like, you know what? This is the distraction I want right now. So, you know, but you know, I'm not gonna break my brain over it anymore. We looked at this. I'm like I said, I'm gonna post that Dropbox with the documents from every case related to their companies that I've looked through. Just because, like I said, I don't think that these things should be hard to find or a secret, and I know that some people don't know where to look. And you know, I don't, if I don't have to pay for it, then I won't watermark it or anything like that. I know some people have actually even complained that I watermark some of my documents. I'm like, dude, if it's like a court transcript and I paid for it and like it's nowhere else, yes, I would like people to know where it came from. But I know some of you are not going to be super happy with that. So I will not watermark anything that I didn't have to pay for. Let's put it that way. So if it's like a state court case like this, it's not going to be watermarked. Or I'll just tell you where to find it. Like I said, I'll make a Google Doc. And I'll put links to all these courts and all the various lawsuits. Like I have all the Wayfarer lawsuits from the state court in California, or was it even the state court? I don't remember. I think it was LA Superior Court.
Oh,
And
is that the Travis Flores and the Shane Norman ones?
Yes, yeah. Shane
Yes.
Norman was the one where he claimed discrimination or something. Is that right? Because I went over
Yeah,
that a little bit ago. Yeah.
yeah, that was nothing. I mean, he's
Yeah.
Justin Baldoni's still his client, you know.
Mhm.
I think I was just leaping to the wrong conclusion, and then, you know, kind of realizing the mistake, and then saying, "Do you know what, I'm going to dismiss this." Like, you know, I get you
Yeah.
know, after bringing a case, he dismissed it himself. So, and it was the same with Travis Flores as well. I've gone over that over and over again.
Mhm.
But yeah, I tried to do the same thing. You know, because you're right, Pacer cost. You know, I just paid my first Pacer bill. Oh my god, it cost so
Dude.
much money.
Oh god. Yeah, I guess so. I know they bill quarterly or whatever, but I had never gotten a bill from them
Yeah,
before because I wasn't really using it. I might have, you know, gotten like a few documents here and there off of it before the last, you know, quarter, but I was like, this is horrible. What have I done? What have I done?
I know.
I take nothing back. I take nothing back. But seriously, what have I done?
Oh,
But it's okay because
yeah.
um,
I was like, how much? It's like something silly, like $320, and I was like, oh right, okay.
yeah, dude,
I'm
it's
not even
nuts.
monetized. But
Man.
you know, I like scroll all over, like I highlight my pages, and then I put them like
Mhm.
4 pages at a time in the threads, and kind of like, you know, if you want them, that's fine, they're there. But
Yeah.
go, you know, you would go through my threads so to go and get them.
Mhm. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think, you know, I blame the Jeb Wallace filing for pushing the bill up so much.
Dude, that was nuts. The 802 page thing or whatever. Um, is that what you're talking about, or was it a different one?
Yeah, yeah. And I had to literally go by every single page just in case there was
Mhm.
something. That was insane. But a lot of it was unnecessary, so
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the LA Superior Court also charges, so that was, and it's like per document as well for the LA Superior Court. So even when I go in and get the documents related to like Kanye West in the discrimination case, it's like I have to pay for it, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm gonna watermark that shit. But there's just so much. It sucks that there's so much public, you know, information that's behind a paywall, and I know technically it's public information, but then so many court websites, including Pacer, of course, as we just discussed, are behind a paywall. Not like this one. This New York State Court website, I did not have to pay for this at all. You can just click on it. Like I'll put the link, and you can click on it, and you can see these filings. And there's only the 2 documents, so there's not really much to see there, but you can look at it. And it'll give you the case number and everything. And that was free. But if you go to like LASC, or if you go to like some different state courts, like here in Florida, in my county, it's free for me to search up stuff like this. But then if I go to look for a different city's records, I might have to pay for it. It sucks. So like I'll try to make kind of a guide for like where you can go to find stuff, if you have to pay for it or not. And if you do have to pay for it, I will, again, like I said, put it in that Dropbox that I'll post tomorrow at some point. so that you can have it and you don't have to worry about that. The only problem I'm going to have with that is like, I don't know how to organize that shit. So you guys are going to have to figure that out yourself. But yeah.
You can, they can as well. Like if people don't want to pay for Pacer
Mhm.
and they're happy to wait for a day or so, they can go to court listener as well.
Yeah. I mean, they're usually pretty fast. Yeah. Court listener. But with
They are pretty fast.
with the state cases, I don't think they're on court listener, are they?
I'm not sure. Because I've had a lot of people say, "Oh, are you going to do the other cases like the Karen Reid or the Diddy case?" No, I'm dealing with this one because I'm
Yeah.
I'm trying to interpret a law that I'm not actually fully trained in, and I did study the New York bar, but I didn't finish it. But I'm UK law, so I'm
Yeah.
learning the law in real time. But also there are like 15 parties in three cases, three courts across, and they're arguing over three different jurisdictions. No, I am not going to look at another case. I couldn't afford it on Pacer anyway.
Yeah. Jesus, I can't keep up with that stuff because it's like I didn't see it from the beginning, so I'm just like there's absolutely no time in my day to try to figure all that shit out. It sucks because I was like I would love to be informed, but at the same time I'm not going to start talking about something if I don't know what I'm talking about. The way that I know about this case and like the Clayton Eckerd case and that kind of thing. So people will ask me like, "Hey, we cover this." I'm like, "Well, I could, but I would have no idea what I'm saying, so I better not." Yeah. So
I feel like I've become a good kind of point of authority on this one. So I
yeah.
what was it? Dave Neal called me the chat GPT of this case. So
Oh, yeah, it's funny.
I'm
Dave is great. I love Dave.
oh, he's lovely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm happy with this. I'm comfortable with this case. I know it inside out now. So
Mm.
it's only going to get more and more exciting. It's going to get there's going to be so much more coming out from the legal side anyway. And we got the Wayfarer oppositions next week for the Stephanie Jones
Hmm.
come in.
Right.
So there's always going to be something as we get deeper into discovery. But and LawTube are missing. Like, there's a gap.
Yeah. What's going on with that? I wonder what that is.
Well, I've heard, I think like Emily D. Baker, I've been told is represented by WME. So so other people are they may have some kind of Mint Mobile deals or some kind of Brian Reynolds, sponsorships or something. I don't know for certain. That's just what I've been told. But yeah, they are quite silent.
Hmm.
It may be that they're just busy with the other cases that are going on. I know, like lawyer, is dealing with the Karen Reid because it's a current trial.
Huh. Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to. Let me close this real quick. I'll put a link to this here again, guys. Hopefully that link works. If not, let me know. Oh, Legal Bites is cool. Yeah, Legal Bites is cool.
Yeah, she's amazing.
And Cassidy, if you guys don't know Cassidy, you should, dude. Hang on. Let me find Cassidy and pull her up for you real quick. Cassie's funny.
Really good.
She's funny because she'll just say like, and she's like such a soothing way of like just like narrating her thoughts and her videos and stuff like that. And but she'll say something like about how garbage someone is, and it's just hilarious because it's like she says it so nicely, but it's like I don't know. I can't. It's like the opposite of. It's like it's almost sarcasm, but it almost feels like the opposite of sarcasm, where it's like very very sweet,
It's like
but
passive
also
aggressive.
yeah. Like she called like a klepto parasite or something the other day. She said it so nice. The way she said it was like, she's a klepto parasite. And I was just like, I can't even make her the voice that she makes, obviously. But I was just kind of like, what? I'm sorry. I was sitting here listening to her, like, kind of explain in like her nice narrator voice, and I was like, hold on, I just did a double take. It's like, what did you just say?
She's great. I love watching her stuff. And not actually Golden. I think she's more on TikTok, but I mean, she's been really good to watch as well. But yeah, I mean, there are a few. There are a few around who are kind of stepping into the gap that's been left, from the law tubers of Debt Be Heard.
Yeah.
It's nice though, because it's nice to have some fresh perspectives.
Mm-hmm. Kay says it better than I did. Cassie is so sweetly indignant and outraged. yes, that's how I would put that. Yes, okay, that makes way more sense than what I said.
That's perfect.
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else. I think there were some questions here, but they were a long time ago, and so now I missed them and I didn't save them. I'm sorry, guys. Let's see. I don't know who Molly Carroll is. Who's talking about Molly Carroll? Apparently, she works for Vision PR, but why is that? Hang on. If you look at the contact for Vans and you see the name Molly Carroll, who, if you search that name, you see Taylor Swift mentioned. I don't know, maybe I'm really lost on this, but then somebody says Molly Carroll works for Vision PR.
Oh, I told you Leslie Stone was involved somewhere.
Man, she's so annoying. Like, I remember her attorneys in those conferences was like, my client and her woman-owned business are being dragged through the. I'm like, dude, look how many women-owned businesses are involved here, and shut your fucking mouth.
They're all women-owned businesses.
Right. And even though Wayfair is like maybe not owned by a woman, but the president is a woman, it's kind of like, okay, so.
Yeah, I remember reading that because I was like, I was on Twitter watching Matthew putting the tweets up about, because he was in the court, and I was like, when I read that, I was like, wow, did she really just make that argument? I haven't heard that.
So
I've never heard that in the UK.
No. No. If you read I don't know, do you read the February 3rd transcript, the hearing transcript?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, there's a lot of shit. There's a lot of shit in there. I'm just like, why would you even say that?
I know. No.
That is bizarre. Hang on. Molly. Okay, so whoever this person is, I guess, is this some kind of Taylor Swift movie? Guys, I'm not a Swiftie.
On. What's that? Go to the IMDb. Can you see that?
This?
No, go down. Under the pictures, can you see the IMDb?
Yeah. Is known for Taylor Swift, I Bet You Think About Me, and All Too Well, the short film. Who is this? But who is she, dude? Give me some more information here.
I just saw Taylor Swift.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what they were saying.
Oh, I now know what tomorrow's deep dive will be.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, it makes sense though, because Vision is publicity for Blake, So,
I mean, the only thing that's really holding me back from saying, do you know what? Yeah, all of this makes sense, is the lawyers' participation. I could see everyone else doing something like this. I could see Leslie Stone and Vision PR and Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds pulling this kind of underhand stunt. I'm not saying it's impossible, because obviously it does happen. You do have some kind of corrupt lawyers about, but that firm is such a big firm. And you got that new law in place, haven't you? Where lawyers, if they uncover misconduct by other lawyers, they have a duty to report it. So it's like, why would you stake your career and your firm's reputation on these two people? On Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively?
I don't fucking know, man. Maybe they made a $200,000 donation 5 years ago or something. Maybe that's why. Kim says, "I Bet You Think About Me" is the music video that Blake directed. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's really good point.
Anyways, I don't think I'm really going to learn anything from her LinkedIn, but that's interesting. What are some of the other companies that we've looked into? If I pull up that letter, I can show you some of the ones that I looked at. Hold on.
Well, I looked at the two that were on that letter. The one to Judge Lyman recently, because one of them is
Yeah.
part of Blake Lively. They've got an active lawsuit going on,
Yeah.
which is currently in the appeal stage.
Oh, that is not what I meant to search. Hang on. Yeah, which one is that? Because I know I pulled up at the beginning of the stream a page full of like lawsuits from that company, but I don't remember. I don't even remember what it's called now.
So is it? Oh, I mean, it's the Blake Owl thing. There's Betty Booze, Betty Buzz. I looked at her production thing as well. There's B for Effort, and there was another production studio as well that she's part of. Oh
Yeah.
God,
I can find
there's
it
quite
here.
a few.
Yeah, this shit's getting long.
Oh, I know. I take forever getting there.
No, that was a letter motion to seal Jed Wallace's health information, which they so kindly outed in Texas. Assholes.
Because I was looking at paperwork today. It was California filing for B for Effort, and that's where I was like, all right, okay. She goes up because in that she goes under Blake Reynolds as well.
Okay, yeah.
I
have this all saved in that Dropbox, but I don't have titles on the document, so I'm not about to fish through that right now.
No.
But I have like a list of the companies that we've seen mentioned for them.
Blake Brown Beauty.
Yeah. Dude, I just had this up earlier too. Not that one.
That's the letter there, isn't it?
Oh wait, hang on, I know how to find it. I just need to see the date of the video where I was like in my righteous indignation about the letter they wrote to the judge. What date was that?
There's been a lot of letters.
13 days ago. So that would have been April 4th. Around April 4th. Yeah, here it is. So this was the one that I looked at, Give Back Beauty. And then it's Family Hive LLC as well. I've searched all these things.
Yes,
Give Back Beauty. Yeah. What's that?
I looked at both of them.
Yeah, the only one
the Give Back Beauty has got an active lawsuit going on now.
They have a lot of previous ones as well. So I have all the documents related to those.
Yeah.
So a lot of it's just boring to me, but that's just me.
It is.
It's just kind of like this sucks. Where's the flair?
Oh no, it was definitely boring. I mean, Family Hive have nothing. They've got another production studios as well called oh God, what is it? Group Effort Initiative. Is it? I don't know if it's a production studio, but it's like it's something to do with kind of film production and all that. But yeah, it's another business as well. I looked them up. Nothing.
Yeah. Dina says it was actually Aviation Gin. That was the Florida lawsuit, I think. Right?
Yeah, that was the Florida one.
So most of like what I found was related to GBB. But yeah. I haven't looked too much into the Florida one because I heard about it and I was just kind of like, wow, this sounds like something I'm really
It's an interesting one. You should read it.
I did not want to pay for that. I'm gonna be honest. I was like, I'm not paying for that.
I'll email it to you.
Yes, please. Thank you. Give Back Booty have one against Revlon to do with Britney Spears perfume. It's redacted a lot and it has to do with stealing.
Yeah, that's the one that's going on now.
Okay. Gotcha. Good YouTube channels are like the Underground Railroad of truthful news. Yeah. B for Effort. Yeah, Leanne just mentioned that one. There's I swear there's one that I'm forgetting though. Is like what's bothering me right now. I'm like there's another one and I just can't remember what it was. It wasn't maximum effort. It was something else. If I can think of it, I'll put it in the comments or something.
Wrexham.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All right, guys. Omar said he'll be streaming later, but not right now. Hang on. There's no subpoena attached to this Vanzen/Doe's case. The timing is just very interesting. Yeah, no, we know that. There's only two documents. There's only two documents. One is the summons/complaint, and the other is the one where they're just like, yeah, never mind. So, yeah, no, there's no subpoena attached to this. Yeah,
I think it is worth. Like, I'll spend time properly going through the documents, the company stuff, and then kind of putting together who the people are in this and what connections there are. I think there's enough to say it's plausible, but I'm kind of held to a standard where I'm not going to state something as truth if I can't say here's the evidence that that's the truth. That's where I am. But there's definitely no subpoena there.
Yeah, no.
So still want that.
It's just very strange. Oh, this is very strange. And I'm like, I'm way too tired to go back through everything that I've seen before. So that's why I'm saying, like, I'm going to post this Dropbox. You guys can look at all of this stuff, see if you find anything related to it in any of these lawsuits, which I really sincerely doubt that you will. But sorry, I needed some Vaseline. But I'm just like too exhausted to keep going through things, digging for subpoenas. Like, it'll pop up if it does. But since somebody, since Katie Joy, Without a Crystal Ball, had brought it up tonight, and somebody politely asked me in a tweet, like, hey, have you seen this? Can you ask the lawyer about this? I was like, I don't know if Omar's available, but I bet Leanne is. And you woke up at 2 a.m. I was like, oh shit, I forgot she's in a different time zone. So thank you for doing this.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if Stephanie, I mean, the one thing I took from Stephanie Jones, her motions, because I did the threads on them, and I think in one of them I made a bit of a snarky comment of, number of times subpoena has been mentioned, 7, number of subpoenas seen, 0.
Mm-hmm.
And I genuinely do take from Stephanie Jones that she believes that there is a subpoena.
Yeah.
I don't, whether she is fully aware that something is not proper about it, it doesn't matter, because even if it's the subpoena is improper, Stephanie Jones has to comply with it, otherwise she faces contempt of court.
Right.
So she has no choice, even if it is not a proper subpoena. If she is presented with something and she is told that's a subpoena, you have to comply with it, she is legally bound to comply with it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's her position. But I did notice that I don't think it was in her first filing, I didn't see it, but she seems to have this, well, I complied with a subpoena, but just in case that doesn't shield me, there's also this Speak Out Act.
I just figured that her psychic told her, so it's fine. Who needs a subpoena?
Yeah.
Must Be Real has a question for you, Leanne. Could this be related to the fair reporting privilege? Would that cause any trouble for that?
It may do for the New York Times, if this turns out that this is not a proper subpoena. If they've looked at a subpoena that has a party's name on it, there's what is it, Van Zan? Sorry,
Vanza?
It's not Blake. Yeah, it's obviously not Blake Lively's name, and it is none of the parties' names in this. So if they've looked at a subpoena that has a party on it that makes no sense, it doesn't have a docket number or a case number on it, it doesn't have a court seal on it. The New York Times deals with so many subpoenas because it has to as part of its due diligence anyway before it reports on a case that is currently active, and they report on those kind of things all the time. So there may be an issue for them if they've looked at a subpoena which has important bits missing. I think it would affect the fair reporting privilege, but I think there's also a consensus as well, and certainly Wayfarer are arguing this, that the litigation privilege and the fair reporting privilege are, if the metadata checks out, then they were working on this long before any active litigation. So they're not entitled to those privileges.
Okay. So you're not doxing anyone, work in progress. It's all public info.
No.
Samantha J. Katz does IP law, but apparently is not an actual IP attorney. She isn't registered with the U.S. Patent Office. My brother is. It's a rare specialization. Huh. Weird.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Thank you, Dima. I appreciate that. Speaking of New York Times, okay, and this is off topic, and it's just something I'm going to spill because I've been in a little rage bubble all day over this not the mass shooting, but the school shooting thing. I absolutely hate these news outlets because of what I explained earlier with the confidential sources where they twist and distort the things that they say. But also today, when I was sitting here freaking out about people that I know potentially being shot dead, and I'm seeing it all over Twitter and shit like that. I have these news outlets, they're all saying like, oh, 5 dead, or they're saying like no casualties, or they're saying 2 shooters, 1 shooter. And I'm like, do you guys not have like a shred of a conscience to like stop and wait and confirm that what you're saying is accurate before you put this out there? And then they'll just change the headline like it never happened, like they never said it. And that's another reason, like I've been on such a anti-big media like kind of crusade lately, and this just kind of really hammered it home for me because I was like, what I've learned about these journalistic practices in the last few months between this case and what happened today, I'm just like so disgusted with a lot of major media outlets, and I'm like, I don't trust them at all anymore. But yeah,
Shut up.
It's terrible. So they had so many different, and somebody says, yes, they had so many different fatalities. Yeah, they did have so many different reports of fatalities, number of shooters, whatever. You see a video that was, I don't think this has been confirmed yet, a video of somebody holding a Starbucks, walking by someone who was apparently shot in the back, like above their glutes or whatever, and just like bleeding, and like holding a Starbucks, and like doubling back to get another shot of the victim, and then just keeps walking, and like they put it on Twitter, and you see that being circulated everywhere too, and that's mostly by like random Twitter users, not by big news outlets. But I'm just saying, like the way that media just kind of allows disinformation to flow is like insane. And so I'm like, nobody bothered to, first of all, blur that out, and second of all, confirm that it was real and related to this shooting before it like circulated. Because even if it is, it's like, hey, take a second to like give a shit about whether or not this is actually what's happening before you put that out into existence. Number one. Number two, if you put a video like that out there during an active shooting situation when there's still active crime scenes, you're kind of a piece of shit. Because that person's mom, brother, sister, children, whatever, may not know. They may not even know what's going on. Maybe they're busy during their workday. Because it was just like 2 hours after the beginning of the shooting, and I'm just kind of like, what are you guys doing? Like, my God, there are other actual people on the other end of this, and so that's why I'm just so fed up with all kinds of media and stuff, and so I'm so stressed out today, and also just kind of like my tone tonight is probably like maybe irritated sometimes when I'm reading the comments. I'm like, I'm not trying to be. I'm not even trying to be. I'm just trying to, like, get on with my night, and I'll just be like reading the comments. I'm like, oh God, I probably sounded really annoyed just now, but I'm not, so I just want to apologize to everybody if that is the case. I'm not trying to obviously hurt anyone's feelings or be rude or anything like that, but I'm just like very on edge right now because of the way that that wound me up, and how they were still putting these reports out there like all day, hours after it was happening, still changing their stories, no retractions, no apologies, no acknowledgement that they shared false information and freaked everyone out. They're like, oh, they're still counting bodies. Basically, they're saying that when that's not even remotely true. Like, dude, like it's been such a day. So that just makes me even more angry by extension at the New York Times, the Daily Mail, anyone who's fucking around with stuff in this case and not being totally honest. It makes me very angry. So.
That's understandable, though, isn't it? It is a stressful time, and like I say, if there's people there that you you know, or even if you don't know them, like, it's like I'm thankful that we don't have as much of a problem in the UK with these kind of things.
Yeah.
We have had them in the past, but and it's quite a shock when it happens. Everyone, and naturally you worry, and when you got kind of newspapers, especially they go for the sensationalism and that the grabbing headlines and everything, and it's like with the other day with Justin Baldoni, this whole Harvey Weinstein supports you, and then they just literally flicked a few words around and said, oh, actually he doesn't. But it's like, how much of a you saw all the Blake Lively fans and jumped on the first headline to go, oh my God, look, he's associated with this convicted,
Right.
And then it's like the damage, you're doing the damage already by rushing to get a headline out of there, even without checking that it's right.
Right.
So yeah, I get it. Things should be handled far more sensibly, more sensitively.
Yeah. It's
I'm
also
sorry you're
like,
going through that though, Lauren.
I appreciate it. I'll be alright. I mean, nobody that I know, was hurt. It's just that I didn't know that for a long time, and it's kind of like when you see different reports, it's like, oh, the stress is finally over. I know everybody's okay, but then you see a report that comes out like, no, there were more casualties, there were more injuries than I previously thought. Then I'm like, what the fuck? Like, now I have to freak out all over again. Like, Jesus Christ. Yeah, so it's pretty crazy.
It's an awful situation.
Lily May says, sorry if I've been insensitive. I never thought you were being insensitive. I don't even know what you're referring to, to be honest. So, no, you're fine. You're good. Many people have lost everything due to false reporting before evidence has been brought forward or of proof to commit or free a person of said reports. And there's just so much crap these days. Yeah.
And this is exactly what we're kind of all sat here talking about, is someone losing everything because of, a falsely reported story.
Right. Right. And I have no respect for anybody who does anything like that. And then at the very least, like, acknowledge at this point, hey, like, maybe we should have given them more time to respond or something like that. Like, maybe I could see a little bit of redemption there if they would be willing to own up to their mistakes. The New York Times with Justin Baldoni, like, maybe just acknowledge that, okay, what we did was shitty. Maybe it wasn't illegal. Maybe it wasn't illegal. I don't know yet. But it was at least very shitty. So, like, I would have a little more respect for that. So I firmly believe that if you put something like that out into the universe that could be so fucking destructive to somebody else, you better, like, vigorously, try to get the correct information out there when you're retracting your false statement. Like, I know that people won't do that. It would be just like a little byline at the end of some article or something, that'll say, like, oh, by the way, we take this back. We previously reported this. That wasn't correct. No, like, if you want to be like a respectable person that people can trust in your reporting and stuff like that, you need to be upfront and honest. I made a mistake here. This is the truth. This is what really happened. And this is why I made that mistake. And this is how I'm going to do better. Then that's something I get on board with. If I saw a reporter say something like that or actively acknowledge their mistake like that, then that's a reporter that I would follow and that I would trust their reports in the future. So,
yeah,
but we don't ever see that.
Like, no, and I think New York Times, I don't think the is this the claim that they've got for the broken promise and not waiting until the deadline that they gave. I don't think that's going to go anywhere, that particular claim. But I do think you could look at this and go, well, it was 12, 14 hours, but it was when they should have been asleep. And it was like the last working day or before a Christmas holiday, and just like, really, how are they going to get like, I think they were quite lucky because most law firms would have been shut down for 2 weeks at that point. So I think they were quite fortunate that they had that Brian Friedman did respond. I think the one thing he should have done, which he didn't do, was just kind of, when he gave the statement, was to sort of say, we reserve the right to come back and add more.
Yeah.
I think he should have said something like that. He didn't though, and I can see why the New York Times were like, "Well, we got a statement. We can run with it now."
Yeah.
That's just my thought. um,
Yeah.
that was completely unfair, especially if it does actually turn out that they have been working on this for months.
Hmm. Yeah. It's very annoying. Like, I don't know. I just can't imagine um not waiting over like the weekend before Christmas, even like, even if like those guys don't celebrate Christmas, because I don't know like what they all celebrate or don't celebrate, but still you
No,
can assume that on one of the biggest holidays like in the world, that like people are going to be busy traveling, out drinking, you know what I mean, like they're not going to be waiting for an extortive type email on their devices to say like, maybe I should wait just in case somebody decides to fuck me over this weekend. Like, maybe I'll just sit here and wait by the phone. Like, that's just ridiculous. So like, to be like an honest person in your reporting and stuff like that, I feel like you do have to be a decent human being and give people a chance to meaningfully respond. So
and I think as well, because the email that they put out to Jen Abel, like, oh, did you, and they were quoting text messages that she no longer had possession of that phone. She hadn't had it for months. Who is going to be able to recall, or what did I say, and what context was it in?
uh sorry, what's that?
I was saying, like, Jen Abel, when they put out an email to Jen Abel and said, oh, you said this in this text and you said that, she'd had the phone confiscated months before. It was like,
Oh yeah,
how
yeah.
many people remember their text messages and what context it was all in? Like, no one is going to sit and like, right, I must remember what I said here and why I said it, just in case this, newspaper gets in touch with me.
Do you remember what you texted about this morning? Because I don't. So that's
No,
good. Why? How the fuck would I not
exactly.
respond to all that? Yeah, that's crazy. Michelle, I'm still sad about the sack. So, wait, how does that work? So they're saying if the judge grants any of the motions to dismiss, they would then amend their complaint. How does that work? Um,
So I think what they did, choosing not to move to file an amended complaint before the motions, that letter where they said, you know what, we're not going to do that. I thought that was brilliant. Actually, I thought it was the right thing to do, because what they're going to do now is they're going to wait. I think there's consensus around all the legal commentators that, if the judge does say, well, you know, I'm going to grant this and grant that, you know, we think that the judge will say, look, fix these problems, file another complaint.
mhm.
So it's the same as like when they did the first one. They will just file a whole new complaint. Then we get to read it and talk about it, and then we get to go through all the motions to dismiss again, because
Good lord.
all the parties have a fresh right to file motions to dismiss based on this new complaint then.
Good lord, I don't know if I can take it.
And then we're going to hope that'll be the last complaint.
Oh
But
god, I'm
like
gonna get another fat bill next quarter. I don't need that.
but Lively hasn't got that right, because because again, brilliant. Um, Wayfarer's lawyers, they instead of filing a motion to dismiss against her, out of her complaint, they
Mhm.
basically just filed answers, which means that she is now locked into that complaint.
Yeah. All right.
So yeah, it's been brilliant strategy so far.
That works. All right, guys. So we're about to wrap up here, but if you had to, just before we go, kind of summarize your thoughts on what we just went over as far as this lawsuit in New York against the John Does, what is your thoughts as to like, do you think this is where it came from? Why or why not? Or why do you feel like we don't have enough information? Just if you could explain, and like we're five.
And so I think there's some There's definitely some things you can sit and point to and go, okay, that warrants further questions. There is nothing that categorically links anything for me. So I'm on the fence. It was an interesting thing to kind of go through. It certainly got us talking about it, which is always good. And it was 100% as a result of Without a Crystal Ball. Just to reiterate that, no one is taking any credit. So yeah, it's something I will probably go away and kind of do a much deeper look into it. I think it warrants that. And the subpoena is going to come out if it exists. You know, and I've always said I think it exists. I do. I don't think that there is no subpoena. I think there is one there. The methods of how it came to be were questionable. Like I think not just me. I've seen the two lawyers, and I've seen you know, other people as well, all sort of sit there and just kind of, we can't find a path to how or why there would be a subpoena. So I'm looking forward. That will come out. It will come out in Discovery. If there is any kind of nefarious kind of activity from the lawyers from that is going to be deeply disappointing, especially for me, because it just doesn't make the profession, it doesn't make the legal profession look good at all. And it is such a rare situation where, you know, lawyers act like that, do anything of that kind of, you know, the misconduct that would have gone into it. I don't know. I have to kind of say, I can't say, oh, it's definitely, you know, it's definitely, this is definitely the case. But even if it was, it is not the smoking gun that everyone thinks it is, because I've said this all the way through, I've been very clear about this in all my replies in my threads, is if there was a subpoena, and even if it was legitimate, it still was not due process, because, you know, notice wasn't given, a copy wasn't given, so the rules were not complied with. So we would still be here having this issue anyway. So it doesn't make a big difference for me personally. It was my curiosity of, well, where did this thing come from? What happened? But the fact that it looks like there may have been something improper going on. It is troubling.
Yeah.
That was a long-winded answer. Sorry, Lauren.
No. You did good. You did good. That really was not a long-winded answer. You're fine. Cat Lauren, not actually golden, says yes, she thinks this is it. The subpoenas don't get filed in court. So like, I've always known that like the subpoenas are not going to show up on the docket the way that a lot of people would expect them to. But and total respect, I want to say total respect to not actually golden. I watch her TikTok videos. When I use TikTok, I pretty much only watch a handful of channels. We got Elsie on there. I got Not Actually Golden. Leanne, I think I follow you on there. I don't know if you post on there or not, but I think I found your account or something. And there's Be Better on there. But I don't look at TikTok a lot. But when I do, I'm looking at like usually one of those channels, or like there's a couple more that I'll follow. But I'm just not a big TikTok person. But I want to say total respect, because I do know that she has a lot of great, you know, content coming out. And I know a lot of people do watch her, and she's great. I disagree on this one, but I'm not a lawyer. You guys know I'm not a lawyer. I'm going to be very clear about that again for like the millionth time. I'm just a lay person. I work in psych and healthcare. But I think that my kind of maybe unpopular take, but just my in a nutshell opinion is I'm refusing to believe at this point that anyone would be so fucking stupid to sign off on this. So I can't believe it at this point. And that's mostly just because I just can't see anyone being that dumb. But that's, you know, not to say that it didn't happen. I'm just saying my brain won't go there yet. You know, so I'm gonna wait and see. We'll see.
I think for me, if you take the lawyers out of it, I would be sitting there going, yeah, actually, I can see it. Because
Yeah.
everything else does fit. Apart from, didn't it say in that filing that the defendant those are
Hmm.
based in New York? Like there's there's small little things that don't quite line up, but they're
Yeah.
rather insignificant, really. But
Hmm.
yeah, it's the fact that lawyers are involved. That bothers me a lot. Um, so, but we will find out soon.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah. What are we talking about over here, guys? Hang on. Give me one sec. I think somebody's asking about the yeah. So these channels, the Margot Robbie, Francis Pugh, Meryl Streep stuff, those are all fake. They're all like AI scam channels. They want you to pay for their memberships and they want you to watch their videos and give them ad revenue. Those are not real stories. Just and the reason I did a live about it the other day is because I fell for a realistic looking AI like not too long ago. It was like within the last couple of months, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is insane. And then somebody pointed out to me like this is an AI, and I was like, oh wow, I feel silly now. But so I just wanted to point out to people like how you can tell these are AI channels. So if you go watch the live from the other day, it'll explain, why these channels are kind of BS and definitely hide recommendations from those channels because they're just making shit up. And mostly they recycle other people's content or recycle the same clips in the background while an AI narrator talks about stuff that's not really related to their, headline, which is just kind of clickbait. It's just kind of ridiculous. I hate those things, but they waste a lot of people's time, including mine, unfortunately, to an extent. Because I did, watch some of those at first, but I've seen myself on a couple of those channels, and I'm just kind of like, well, and it's funny because they're trying to farm ad revenue, but then they use clips of me saying the word cunt over and over again, and so I'm like, you're gonna get yourself demonetized. That's so
mm.
dumb. All right. um, okay. Thanks everyone for being here. I appreciate it. Leanne, you can stick around for a second because when I turn this off, I'll still be able to talk to you. Hang on. All right. Thanks everyone. We'll see you later.
Thank you.